Welcome to M3, or Mom Meets Machine. This is a series of conversations thinking about how humans make meaning in a world shaped by technology, science, and the systems that built us. I'm Leah Russell Flaherty, and I'm joined by Kendra Oliver, a PhD-trained scientist and designer who works in the space of technology and human connection. M3 lives at the intersection of big ideas and everyday life. We're having conversations about art, science, psychology, and AI, and sprinkle in little moments that happen at home, like questions to our kids, family conversations, and other ways of showing up in our daily lives. Because that's how we talk about these ideas with children, and often reveals what really matters. In this second episode, Kendra and I talk about something that doesn't always come naturally, talking about ourselves. We explore the discomfort around self-promotion, how our identities are shaped through experience, and what emotional pain can teach us about connection and growth. We also reflect on my journey through forensic psychology and how technology, when used intentionally, can support learning emotional intelligence and deeper human connections. You'll also hear how this podcast is becoming intergenerational. Kendra's mom joined us in this episode, and in our last episode, our kids joined us. We're learning that bringing multiple perspectives into how we think about identity fosters learning and connection across generations. At its core, this conversation is really about understanding ourselves a little better and how that understanding helps us show up more fully for others.
So I was just on this awesome podcast, Med Talks from AHN, and I am so proud of it. And I don't know what to do with it. And I think this is the reason why I don't know how to make my business go forward.
Just pretend it's not you. Just disassociate. Pretend like you're pitching it for someone. I use we and Art Lab and just like pretend like I have a different personality.
So if I had a business name, I wouldn't have
You
to
can
say,
just say,
I did such an awesome job on it. I think it's really cool.
No, I think that's how you do it.
I love how you do it. And I'm so impressed by it. And so I was wanting to come to you with this question. Yeah, because I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, I think you just pretend like it's not you.
I have literally asked my brother to post things about me before. And he's like, whatever, weirdo, just do it yourself.
No, you should totally do that. If that's the thing, I think that I think it's really hard. I have a hard time talking about myself and pitching myself in that way. But using a company, I think it's I feel really proud of what I made. And so that instead of it being about me,
that. Yeah, that's cool. I don't feel like I have, and Phil keeps saying, Phil is he's a really good cheerleader and things like this. And he's just you're the product, babe. You're the product. And I'm like, but what? I mean, you just have to know that that's what it is. That's his level of confidence that when you see him walking down the street, you know. So me and his mom, the first time we ever met, my mother-in-law, who is my favorite human on earth, we met for the first time sitting next to each other for 3 hours of his graduation from his MBA. We had to listen to every single name who had just graduated from GW's MBA program. And we're like, oh my God. So we were clapping for alliteration was our rule. There's too many people. So they're Allison Altermeyer. But she and I, as soon as we couldn't see anything. We're in the 500 level seats. We saw him strut across the stage and we're like, oh, I need that a dose of that. I certainly can't have that whole thing. There's no room for anything else for me if I did that. But I need a shot of it.
I need you to redo the pain and suicidal ideation conversation.
So I always wanted to be a forensic psychologist. My master's was in forensic psychology. As soon as I finished undergrad, I knew I wanted to go into forensic psychology. That was always the thing. I found it fascinating. I found the idea of figuring out puzzles. It was all about forensic psych for me. Then realized that I was not going to be in law enforcement because one of the biggest things was I had lived a life, done we'll edit that out. I had done things. And I said that on my FBI application and they were like, well, clearly you didn't read our zero tolerance for drugs policy.
Oh,
it was wild to me that they want people devoid of life for these jobs. And so then I'm like, what am I going to do with myself? And got this job at Walter Reed Army Medical Center. where I started working with just incredible people. I mean, I knew so I was in New York on September 11th. That's where I'm from. And so, like, 9/11 has been an enormous part of my life. So, being able to be there for these vets who were in OEF and OIF was so important for me. So then I was like, oh, this is it. It's military medicine. And so military medicine brought me into the worlds of research on things like veterans experiencing homelessness, suicidal ideation, suicide attempts, and people who die by suicide, as well as chronic pain, is how I got into the field I'm in now. And so all of this kind of the jumble of emotional and physical pain is got me to what I'm doing now.
And I think so. And I think the thing that I found most interesting was like the idea of like suicide being feeling disconnected and isolated and like pain being so concentrated where like it seems like there's nothing else
Yes.
besides that. So it's like this like yeah, tunnel vision
Yeah.
type thing.
So that's kind of what we were talking about in trying to determine like the similarities of why they're working with you, right?
Yeah.
Besides liking you, like, besides wanting to hang out, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
And I was saying that I think anything where we are challenging our view is important. And I think especially in today's society with the wild political climates we're in, I was like laughing that the only bumper sticker I could ever imagine having is this one I saw a few months ago that was just like, what if you're wrong? Like it's like, whoa. We think when you think you're right, you are so wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
It means that you've got that tunnel vision and you're not appreciating so many other aspects. And so, like, that's just kind of what I think about in what you're doing. So especially med school, where you have to be so tunnel vision, you have to put your head down and study so much that you forget about the world often. And so we like in order to make whole people in different parts of life. And so I think that's what's so cool about what the projects you're doing is.
Well, and I think it's interesting because, like, I think that scientists find a lot of comfort in objective truth. Like, there's content and it's layered on content on content. There's so much that builds this kind of knowledge base that people that build their work on. And
Yeah.
the whole idea of like a PhD being this little blimp in the whole huge globe of knowledge is kind of the idea, right? That there's already so much out there. But I think that the most important part of what I do is that everything is subjective. And, you know, we were talking about like confidence.
Yeah.
And I think that it's knowing that you are always wrong. So no matter what you do,
Exactly.
you are going to be wrong.
Yeah, and so when we were talking yesterday about like so a lot of what I'm doing with people is challenging them because when you have something like chronic pain, you actively disconnect from your body, right? What do I want to think about my body for?
Yeah.
I know that it's in pain. And so oftentimes it can have this kind of bizarre juxtaposition of always thinking about the pain but then disconnecting from the body. So it's a really wild place to be in. And so what I was imagining with this is trying to figure out different ways where we can experience those emotions in a less negative way. So I always use this example of when we were talking about how difficult it was for me to make friends because I wasn't a mom yet and I didn't know how to talk to people yet. And so I was trying to make friends. Oh my God, it was like what 10, 11 years ago I was trying to make friends with this woman at the dog park. I cannot for the life of me remember what I said, but I remember it was so stupid. And I felt every cell in my body was like, "Oh my God," like I swear a part of me died, and I had to walk down the street. And I remember this like real feeling of holding this humiliation and just like holding it, tensing it, feeling it, and then just like, wow, I gotta let that go. Like I have to let that into the universe because I can't hold this anymore. And like that's what I ask people to do so often is like we set rumination timers and do things like that. Like feel every inch of this emotion and how awful it is and then let it go. Like we did this already. And so when I go back to, oh my God, remember how stupid that was that you said that? It's like, oh no, I already felt that. I gotta let that go. I have to move on with the rest of my day because I felt every ounce of that and I survived it. Like, let's move on.
Well, and me and my mom were talking about like with what you do as I feel like you have to be incredibly good at letting things go.
Yeah.
Right. And like getting out of it. Cause I feel like if I would hear the stories that you hear, I would get stuck in them and like absorb them and it would stick to me and I would not be able to feel hopeless. You know, Mom, do you want to say your thoughts real quick?
Well,
I think I thought is that you're really good at connecting with people. You know what they described you as like a ball of light.
Literally,
Wow.
that's the first, like I met you and was like,
This-
oh, I can't believe you get to have her for a mom.
But I think a lot of it is reflecting because I felt the same way. So I am really I love to listen to people and just really I'm more of an observer than a participant is what I tend to think of myself as. But you are so engaging and so good at articulating a variety of emotions, good, bad, funny, not so funny, whatever. Yeah, which is amazing and awesome. And so I think that I just was reflecting back.
I loved watching you with my mom is the least warm and fuzzy person I've ever met. So to see the first time I met you was with my mom.
Yes.
And to see when my mom meets warm and fuzzy people, she doesn't know what to do with herself. And you outwarmed her. And she was just like, I can do this with this lady. This lady is so nice. She was you got her out of her shell by just projecting this warmth where she's like, I guess she's really that nice. I don't think she's trying to trick you.
I mean, and I think of myself as being more goofy and silly and, full of all kinds of human frailties, but you just keep going and enjoy the moment and you can't let that bother you. I mean, you got to keep going. And
But anything that you were describing, like I suppose you could put a negative valence on it, but it's all light. It's all like goofy and silly. Like that's lightness.
Again, I think it's reflecting the company I'm keeping. That's that's very, very, and it's just when you find someone that you get, like, just listening to you tell the stories that you were was like, "Yes, I understand that. That's such a great point of view." Yesterday, when you were talking about I thought, "That's amazing." You were really conscripting AI to be a partner and a collaborator and a good, happy, helpful, wholesome part of life as opposed to the scary thing that's going to come in and take over and diminish you. No, you weren't looking at it that way at all, which is great.
I love that. And I do think, I don't want to, I don't know, I don't want to say that there isn't the other side to it. And so I think that's what Kendra has taught me is responsible, like using the word responsible in front of everything, right?
Yeah.
Is there can be dark sides of it, just like there can be dark sides of humans, right? So just like making sure that we're doing things with care and we're doing things mindfully. So we're making sure, like it was great because I was 95% sure that I couldn't put PHI into our model that we use at work, the Gen AI that we use at work. And so I was like, how am I going to find this out? Like, how do I know? I know I can't put patient data in here, but like, can I? And then I remember it's like, oh, I ask it. And I'm like, hey, scientist, can I put patient data into you or is that breaking PHI? And it was like, hey, thanks for asking. Do not put. Like, thank you for confirming.
That's so smart. Like, ask the system itself. Like,
Yeah.
there's like a lot about like using AI to police AI. And I love that. Like,
Yeah, it
that
was great.
But I also think, okay, this is like the abbreviated version, but a lot of the programs that we've talked about, like with your Empowered Relief program and the ability for people to connect even like in a 2-hour period online, which I think is just, I think it speaks so much to even connecting with people using technology. I think that recently I just saw that Pitt was going to reimburse students that were during COVID at like $7.2 million because the value of education at that time, because it was done online, was not seen as the full educational experience. Yeah. And so
it's such a waste of money.
I mean,
you got the degree. I don't know.
Yeah. So I think it's telling basically this devaluation of connecting. So we can't always be in person, right? And
The world we're living. So then should our jobs reimburse us for when we don't have to go into the office, when we can do our exact job via Zoom or Teams or whatever it is?
Yeah, maybe they should pay you more because of the psychological trauma.
I'm having a really hard time in my attic running a grand rounds at 7 a.m.
Yeah.
It's tough, but I didn't have to go to the hospital at 7 a.m.
I don't have the person connection. This terribly boring information. You must be here in person to listen.
But yes, don't know. I'm sure I could see either sides of it because I do feel like there probably are students who feel like their college experience was stolen from them, right? Like if I think about my college experience, I'm not thinking about the classroom.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about like whether it's being on the soccer field with my friends or being at parties with my friends, whatever it is. Like that part was taken.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's what we're paying for like when we go to school. But I don't know.
Some people feel like that. And I think that's part of it, both of our thing about like programming using technology, including AI, including like, telecommunications stuff to
Yeah.
be able to connect people, no matter what that is.
I mean, for me, it's just so fun to listen to the two of you bounce ideas off each other and talk and share. And it is enlightening and uplifting. And
Oh,
I'm just glad you're doing this.
Yeah.
You
We
know,
love listening to each other.
and I think, I love listening to you.
Thank you. You'll
I
be
think
our
you're
one
onto something.
subscriber. Right? So I guess when I'm thinking about the way that there's the intersections that we have here between our jobs, because so what I'm thinking, what value do I give to your project, right? And so a lot of what I'm thinking as a clinical psychologist is what we started talking about was that stuckness, right?
Mhm.
And so when people get stuck, and not just in our perspectives, like is it possible you're wrong one, but being stuck in our funk or stuck in our pain, whether it's emotional or physical. So I'm thinking about the ability of us to function as magnets for one another, right? To
Yeah.
like to get people unstuck out of
Yeah.
something.
Stuck people.
Yeah, finding
Yeah.
stuck people like kind of
I love it.
stuckness. Yeah, and so there's a form of therapy called cognitive processing therapy that's like really gold standard for post traumatic stress disorder. One of the largest points of it is looking for stuck points.
Yeah.
Like what's the thing that you're stuck on? And so that's what we did largely at the VA. And I think there's so much of that with pain. So you'll have people say, because of my pain, I can't get on the floor and play with my grandkids. And
Yeah.
I've always imagined myself as the person who could do that. Right.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people get stuck in that identity instead of saying, well, then I get to be the grandma who has kids on my lap
Yeah.
or I'm drawing with or I'm engaging with in a different way. And so
Yeah.
being able to like kind of put like a microscope on people's values and say like, all right, so if this is what's so important to you, how do we make sure that we can make this part of your life? Because we are stuck in this one area. And so how do
Yeah.
we grow that somewhere else? And so those are the parallels that I'm thinking
Yeah.
with
Totally.
the I4. I'm gonna say, tell me
Yeah. For
the I4
air. We got
air.
Yeah.
The I4 air.
I think our special sauce is like the tools for emotional intelligence that
Yeah.
you provide. And like also, art is like a great catch to get people in, but like engaging people with science, like how do you get people to interact? And I think that's where it's like unstuckness, doing new things, trying something else, getting
Yeah.
a new perspective. And also I think it's being a mom. Do you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
think there's something in there because a lot of moms are trying to figure this out, like figure out the connection with technology too. And so that's, I think, their special sauce. It's like emotions, it's AI and technology and moms.
This is our thing. Okay.